Have you ever thought about baking a pizza from scratch? Because like I have, and like it seems like a really good idea at first, but there's like so much work that goes into baking a pizza. I feel like I don't know if I necessarily want to do it, but it's also like that satisfaction of finishing something. So, hey everybody, welcome to another reading log. This is the December 2022 reading log. This is going to be the last video, hopefully, about 2022 stuff. Yay! And then we'll finally be getting on to 2023. I have been reminiscing so much about 2022 recently that maybe I should finally get over it and finish it up. So yeah, this will be the last video about 2022 stuff. So this is going to be the reading log. I actually didn't read too much last month, mostly because of the exact same reason why I didn't pick up that much, is because I was traveling a lot. Just a lot of stuff was going on in general, so I didn't have a ton of time, but I did manage to finish 30 volumes, so it's still pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with the results of that. So yeah, let's get right to it. Let's go. Alright, the first volume of December 22 that I decided to read was Die Dark, Volume 2. So I've actually had this for a while, and I was kind of waiting on it because the releases are pretty far from each other. However, I decided to pick it up now and read the second volume because the first volume was awesome, and this second volume continues to impress. If you really enjoy Q Hayashida's work, which if you don't know who that is, it's the mangaka behind Dorohedoro. It's basically Dorohedoro. Like in terms of like that goriness, like the violence, the gratuitous violence for comedy's sake, and it works in this sense as well as in Dorohedoro, but in a sci-fi setting instead. So it's all about traveling around space with my boy here on the front, Zahasanko, and yeah, it's goofy, it's fun, it's more enjoyable the more you read it, I guess. And this print, just want to give a shout out to the Seven Seas. This print is amazing. The paper is lovely and thick. So this will probably be sticking around on my shelf for a while, and hopefully it won't yellow anytime soon. So that's really cool. Just like a totally random side bit about it. But yeah, overall, really good volume. Really enjoyed it. Alright, up next, I read the newest volume of Black Clover 31. And yeah, it continues to be fun shonen stuff. Like, I'm really glad the story is finally progressing more. I've noticed with the releases recently where, like, we have one big battle in the volume and then you have to wait 2 months, and then you have one big volume in the one big fight in the volume, and then another volume goes. So I'm glad we got past like some of the big fights, and we're starting to get into like more of the crazy stuff that's going on, especially with more of the devils. So yeah, this was a nice little wrap up for like the first part, I think, or I guess the second part of this arc. So hopefully we're going into the final section of it. But yeah, it's really cool. The fights are awesome as usual. I'm really excited for the next volume. Up next, I decided to read the Beyond the Promised Neverland. This is a short story collection that's like featuring characters and stories based around the Promised Neverland universe. And yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. Nothing super crazy. Like, it's just like a bunch of like little stories here and there. I wouldn't say like, is this a must-read for everybody? Nah, probably not. I would say if you liked Promised Neverland, you'll enjoy this because it features some of the characters in one of the last chapters in this. However, it's still fun. I do enjoy it a lot. It's kind of cool. It's nice to have it, honestly. So yeah, give it a shot if you like The Promised Neverland. Alright, up next. So this is Cactus's Secret, Volume 1 by Nana Haruta. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't remember anything about what I read in this series. I want to say... I want to say that like her whole like personality is basically like she's like prickly like a cactus, as the name suggests, and the main like boy character, the main like male lead or whatever you want to call it, is fine, but I genuinely don't remember what happened in this, and I feel bad because it's like, I don't know, maybe it's good, but like, yeah, it's just, I guess it didn't really grab my attention because I've already forgotten about it. So I'll probably give it like a nice read through later. Maybe I'll enjoy it more, but yeah, for the most part, this was fine, I think. Now for a series that I did really enjoy, I can promise this. This is Mame Coordinate Volume 2 by Sachi Miyabe. This series is so cute, so awesome, and it delves really well into like a variety of things, like in terms of your self-worth and believing in yourself and found family in a way, and proving the haters wrong and stuff like that. I don't know, it just does it really, really well. And the art style obviously complements it so well too. Love the color pages too, because it's kind of like, it makes it feel like a, how do I explain it? Kind of like a colored pencil kind of style, and I just love that. But yeah, if you don't know what the series is about, basically it's about this country girl who's like really into eating like a bunch of food, very much not like a model, but she wants to become a model, and she ends up teaming up with this manager who is looked down upon at her agency because it's like, oh, because like she's quiet and easy to anger and stuff like that. So it's all about them proving like everybody wrong and stuff like that. And in this volume specifically, you get to see a lot of growth between the two, and also get to see like this interesting collaboration with a like new designer, and that's kind of cool. I don't know. I I like this series a lot, and I know it ends or has ended already, so I have to find the last 2 volumes. But yeah, this was a really good volume. All right, up next, Captivated by You. Yama Wayama. So this is not what I expected at all, honestly. I was expecting this to be just like a one shot about the guy on the cover, and like that was going to be it. So it's not really like that. It's kind of like a mix of just short stories about this one dude and then eventually to another guy, and it's weirdly funny. It's like really extremely dry humor, and I don't know, it's just fun, I suppose. I don't know how else to explain it, but I do really enjoy the art. I believe this artist has another series that people really like, and I don't know what it is. But yeah, if you like super cringe dudes or super cringe people just talking to each other, or just like really weird circumstances that just occur, this is a pretty solid read. Very enjoyable. Alright, up next, this is Tale of a White Knight by Tooko Miyagi. I think that's how you say her name, or their name, excuse me. And yeah, this was another short story collection. I've been reading a lot of short story collections, and this one was fine. It was okay. The art is nice, but as you read it, I don't know, none of the characters are truly likable. None of the stories feel very connected in a way. It's just like, I don't know, it was okay. I don't know what I expected from it. I mean, I did get it for really cheap, so like, like trade-offs, I guess. But yeah, this was fine. It's cool to have it because I don't see people like talking about it, and it's like I wouldn't say rare, but it's definitely like an uncommon volume to see people's collections. So I'll probably hold on to it, maybe give it a reread and like see if I can gauge something better. But for the most part, it was fine. It's just like a mix of short stories about like everything. That's kind of the problem I find, because like there's like a historical era kind of thing, and it seems like there's like a more modern thing that's going on. Yeah, I don't know, you just go check it out if you're interested. I thought it was okay. Alright, up next, I know this is Yakuza Fiancé Volume 1 by Asuka Konishi, and I know a lot of people really like this series, and I read the first volume and I thought it was also fine. There's something that's a little off-putting about this series for me, and I think it's just how the characters look directly at you when you're reading, and I just like, they kind of have this like dead-eye looking like in their eyes, like with him. I think this is a great example, just like right here. So like I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it just throws me off in terms of like perspective, or it's just like a really weird thing to do in terms of like drawing and design. But for me, when characters look directly at you, it's always kind of odd, to say the least. So yeah, not my favorite, but I did enjoy it enough that I'm probably going to pick up the next volume. So we'll see how I feel about it with that second volume, but this first one was not necessarily the best first impression. Up next, Sakamoto Days, Volume 5. This volume was so good. So flipping good. We get some new introduced characters. We get some awesome fights with Sakamoto and the crew, and everybody from like the assassin like society is super sick. Oh, my hands are shaking, sorry. But yeah, the action is obviously fantastic, and we're going to see like a lot of the new characters that they've introduced in like the first couple volumes finally get to show like their stuff, especially this girl in the front. She is an absolute bamf, and that's all you need to know. All right, up next, Futari Escape, Volume 1 by Shoichi Taguchi. So, yeah, this one was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was fluffy, it was nice, it was cute. I didn't really see what the cover was talking about with the Yuri stuff. I guess maybe I'm just dense as hell, and I think I am. So, yeah, if you sensed that this was supposed to be a Yuri comedy without reading the back, good on you. I definitely didn't feel that way. I guess there was like one part that I would say that may have hinted at that, but I remember I'm like super dense. But overall, yeah, it's just a fun, cute little like story basically about these two girls. One of them is a manga artist and the other one is unemployed and just chilling. So it's about their adventures in living together and yeah, just having an escape from the world. I don't know what futari means, but that's what it feels like. So yeah, it's cool. It's cute. Definitely gonna get the next volume. Alright, up next, this is Swans in Space, Volume 1 by Loon Yamamoto. So basically, it features this girl on the back, Corona. She is like a super popular character for the most part, and then she ends up like teaming up with this girl who is kind of like a loner, and people are like, oh, she's kind of weird, and basically solving these cases, I guess, or like making people like, or like conducting peace as like this like team. And yeah, it's fine. I mean, this was it was a nice read. I do really enjoy the color in it, and I think the art is really cute and like really unique. So that was like probably the most enjoyable part about it, was just like coming to read this. However, I have a huge gripe with this volume. I don't know what it is, but here, let me see if I can show you. So just like opening it, and then like you can hear like the cracking, but that's not showing it very well right now. But basically this glue is very, very poorly applied. So when I was reading it, it like was not sitting well, and it's like kind of visible on the spine. I don't know if you can see it right now. You can't see it in this lighting, but basically it's like grayed out, so you can see where the glue is sitting on the spine, and it just was a pain in the butt to read because I had to basically read it like this so that I wouldn't break the glue. So a little frustrating, but this doesn't have necessarily to do with the story or the characters. The characters are very fun, typical like spunky girl and very lazy girl. And then another lazy manager, so it's about her like trying to figure it out, and yeah, the little story, and it's made for kids, so I'm not expecting anything like super crazy or intense, but I think it's a very enjoyable read regardless. Okay, up next, Blue Period Volume 11, Tsubasa Yamaguchi, once again, steals the show. It is a remarkable volume. This series continues to blow me away. It is absolutely wonderful. If I didn't have that specific rule for 2022 for my top manga, this probably would have been number one. But yeah. What else can I say about the series that I already haven't said like in every single reading log that happens to have one of these volumes? However, I think this one delves even deeper, and I think it's actually one of my favorite volumes to release in Blue Period. And I'm only going to say, the only reason I'm going to say why is that they focus on how children react to art and how they create art versus adults. And it's interesting to see because back in college, actually, I took a class where we studied how art and like how to teach art to children, how to keep children interested in art. And one of the biggest things that they talked about is like you start to hit this like crossroads for artists and for kids, where you're gonna have them go down two roads, where artists or like kid artists are gonna start drawing, and they're gonna get to a point where they're gonna be like, this doesn't look like what I want it to look like, or this doesn't look like what I think it should look like. So let's imagine somebody draws a house, right? Or like kids, you know, they'll draw houses all the time. It's just a square, little triangle on top, little door. That's usually like the basics of it. And they're like, look, it's a house or whatever. And then, you know, you draw a stick figure and like, look, that's my dad, that's my mom. But as they start to get older and they do these drawings and they're like, okay, well, this doesn't really look like my house. This doesn't really look like my kid in that. Or like, this doesn't really look like my parents. Insert like things. This doesn't look like a car. This doesn't look like a fire truck. So you start to see this crossroads where people who are sitting on the fact that like, oh, I can't draw what I see in front of me. So you start to get these people who do not want to do art anymore, and then you start to get the kids who are like, I gotta get better and just keep pushing. So that's where the split is. It's usually at a pretty young age. I think it's around like 7 to 8. I want to say it actually might be older. I can't remember. But yeah, it was interesting to see that applied into a manga, so people could see like why that is a thing, and why, and then it's also explained very well too. So yeah, this was an awesome volume. Loved it super much. Alrighty, had to drink some water, but we're ready to go into the next part. So, up next, One Piece Volume 101. And yeah, this was good. It was another good volume. We're continuing the story of Wano. I will say I'm starting to lose focus on where we're going in Wano. Like, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything that's going on. There's a lot going on. But I still like the art a lot, and I still like the overall story. So hopefully, like, it gets a little bit better, because I'm starting to, like, lose interest in Wano. I would say, like, Wano is kind of cool, and, like, the story of Kaido and everything is interesting, I suppose. But I feel like it's moving at a very slow pace. I can't imagine having to read this weekly, because, like, this would have been a pain in the butt. But yeah, I'm interested to see where certain things happen. I'm interested to see what King does, finally, because he hasn't been doing anything up to this point. Queen's been the one who's mostly been doing stuff. And yeah, I'm interested to see more powers and more, like, I guess, unlock powers, I want to say. Because we got to see Robin's new form, which was super awesome. So hopefully we get to see a new one with Zoro and with Sanji. So, alright, up next, Red Shy by Bukimi Miki. And I talked a lot about this in my reading, not my reading log, excuse me, the lightning round for my FBI series. And yeah, really enjoyed this one. This was a fun one, really fun action series. I think there's like a interesting sense of mystery that's going on, and overall, just like a lot of the characters, they're written really well, very entertaining, and it goes into like the psychology of being a hero, where a lot of these characters were just thrust into becoming heroes. They didn't necessarily want to be, but they feel obligated to. And our main character, there's like a traumatic event that happens at the beginning of the series, and she works through it throughout the first volume, and that's awesome. I think it's done really well, and I really like the writing. Really excited for the second volume. Alright, up next, I read volumes 2 and 3 of Komomo Confessory by Maki Minami. So I've been sitting on this series for a long time, trying to find the second and third volume, or at least the second volume, not the third, but finally got them, I believe, in November or December. It's one of the two, but glad I finally got to get back into the series, because I really enjoyed the first volume. These second and third volumes are very funny, hilarious. I love the way Maki Minami draws characters, especially like there's like facial their facial expressions are always really funny. I like that this character just has like massive eyebrows, because it's actually how I draw some of my OCs, with massive eyebrows. So yeah, overall this is a really fun one. If you want to just enjoy like a little cute but kind of goofy, kind of like semi-drama filled series about like this rich girl who basically gets humbled because all her money goes away, so she has to live with this baker dude who's kind of a jerk but is a childhood friend of hers. So yeah, it's interesting, it's fun. I'm not super, I wouldn't say this is like an amazing series, but I do find it very enjoyable. So if you can get your hands on it, you should check it out. It's pretty fun. Alright, read the third volume of Law of Ueki by Tsubasa Fukuchi, and wow, I wasn't expecting this emotional bomb to be dropped on us, because one of the very important characters actually dies in this volume, and I wasn't expecting that, and I was like, what the hell? Got me all sorts of screwed up, honestly. I wasn't expecting to feel this emotionally attached to the series, especially when I first got it, because it felt like a very generic shonen series, and it kind of is, but I like how the characters are written. They're very fun. The main character's very deadpan and really lame in a way. But he has your typical shonen hero kind of thing, where he's like, I gotta do the right thing every time, even if it means risking my life and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see like the main villain actually do something, and like, or at least the main villain currently, and also like seeing one of the main characters die. So that was interesting. Yeah, definitely gonna be reading more of this series soon. All right. Up next, The Hunter's Guild Red Hood Volume 1 by Yuki Kawaguchi. So this series was pretty cool. I actually like this first volume a lot, and I can see why people were saying that like this series started off very strong. I'm very worried about what's going to happen in the second and third volume, because I know this series got canceled very early. So yeah, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but this first volume was actually pretty good. The action was really good. I like that the mystery was set up really well. The plot and the story is actually kind of interesting. Like, it seems to be going in a cool way. So yeah, excited to see where this goes. Yeah, fun one. Up next, like I say with every Comey volume, this is volume 22. It's more Comey. If you like Comey, it's fun. If you don't like Comey, don't read it. But yeah, it's a decent enough comedy series. It's still getting a little bit more progress in terms of characters like actually admitting their feelings and stuff like that. Finally getting somewhere. I already kind of know where this is going to go. I've already been hurt multiple times by different series, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. But yeah, curious to see where this one goes, I guess. Alright, led the last volume of Forget Me Not by Mag Sue and Nao Emoto. So, finally finished this series. It took forever. My 7th volume isn't in the best condition, but honestly, in comparison to all the other ones that I've managed to find, this one was just fine. And this series ended in actually a really nice bittersweet tone, and I wasn't expecting it to end the way that it did. However, I do appreciate how the character has grown significantly by the end of the series. You get to see all of his life for the most part, and yeah, he's kind of just been a piece of crap the entire time, so it's been interesting to see how his character copes and understands what he's done wrong, and where he needs to fix himself, and he starts to fix himself throughout the series. And yeah, I really appreciate that his character actually has a nice send-off. He isn't just continues to be a bad person. He actually improves himself throughout the series, and yeah, I love it. It's great. So yeah, this was a nice read. I'm really happy I actually picked up the first volume on a whim. Yeah, because this was a fun one. I wasn't expecting it at all, but I really enjoyed the somber tone and this more of reflection versus guy gets the girl every time. It's more of the guy gets the girl and there's a lot of issues. Mostly with him. So it's interesting to see that instead of your typical oh, they're gonna be together forever. So this was a more realistic take on romance and on dating in general, and relationships. So yeah, it's interesting to see that, and this was a great last volume. Alright, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 18, Gege Akutami continues to do what he does best. Really good action and not focusing on the main character. Okay, the main character is in this one, I guess. Yeah, he's there. Yuji's doing stuff. But for the most part, we get a lot of focus on the other characters as well. We get more Fujiguro stuff, more Panda stuff, and yeah, we get to this weird fighting ring, and it's pretty cool. I don't know. I like this character who's on the cover. He's got an interesting power, to say the least. I also think his partner, or whatever you want to call him, or whatever you want to call her, excuse me, also has a unique ability, and I think it's well explained as well. I know people tend to think that Akutami over-explains his characters or over-explains the powers, and I can see that for some parts. However, it reminds me of Hunter x Hunter in that way, where it's just yeah, it's a lot of information, but if you do remember it, it does stay true to that. There's no plot holes in oh, there's no exceptions, this character can do all this, and then 3 volumes later, except. So it's nice to see some consistency. Really excited for the next volume. Okay. Read Elusive Samurai Volume 3 and 4 by Yusei Matsui, and this continues to be a pretty fun series, honestly. It looks like we finally got, I want to say, almost the full crew together, at least the full main crew. Interested to see where this goes. I really liked Volume 4 a lot. Volume 3 was fine, but Volume 4 actually had a really interesting fight, or battle, or whatever you want to call it. Really well planned out, really well designed in terms of how things were gonna work in that battle. So I really appreciate the explanations and how everything went out, because it was fun. I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, we get to see some awesome fights. So always appreciate that in action shown in the series. All right, Run Away With Me Girl, Volume 1 by Baton. So I was not expecting this series to be as good as it was. I actually don't even know what I was truly expecting when I bought it. All I know is that people said you should pick it up, check it out. And wow, this was absolutely stunning. This was a remarkably good first volume. I should have done a FVI on this, because this was probably one of the best first volumes that I read in 2022. The only problem is that it came out so late that I wasn't able to add it to my video. It probably would have been somewhere in my manga awards of 2022, because this was a remarkable first volume. To give you an idea of what this is, basically these two girls in the front, they were a couple in high school, really cute. They really loved each other, or supposedly really loved each other, but when graduation comes along, she's like, hey, maybe we should stop screwing around, you know, like we have to like have a husband and have a child because that's our lives. So she's completely heartbroken because she still loves her. Fast forward 10 years, she's like doing her thing and she runs into her 10 years later, and now she's married or going to get married, yeah. So there's definitely like this weird tension that goes on, but I think it's just done. It's written so well, and like you really care about both these characters. You really sympathize with the problems that are occurring because her soon-to-be husband is not the greatest person in the world. That's being nice, but I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, really rooting for these two girls. I hope some good stuff happens for them because yeah, it's been definitely a tough road, and I really enjoy it. And honestly, I didn't even talk about the art. The art is actually really nice. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like really fluid, really well done. The posing is done really well, and it's got like a unique style to it. I don't know, there's something about like the facial expressions and everything is just kind of nice. So yeah, this was an amazing first volume. Great stuff, definitely read it. Alright, up next, Yotsuba 4 and 5 by Kiyohiko Azuma. Yotsuba continues to be an awesome comedy series that I totally picked up on a whim because I was like, you know what, I want to read more of my fiance's stuff because she has a really nice manga library. Honestly, I really enjoy a lot of the stuff that I've already read through her library, and I'm probably going to read more because obviously she has great taste. Yeah, this continues to be a really fun time, honestly. Like, there's not much else to say about it because like it's not really like a story driven per se. It's just like these little like droplets of life. A slice of life series, duh. But yeah, this one's really fun and I really enjoyed these 2 volumes. Alright, up next, I read Eminon, Volume 3. This is Eminon Wanderer Part 2. So this is the second part to the second volume, technically, because the second volume was the first part of Eminon Wanderer Part 1. Whew, that's a big mouthful. But basically, this continues the story of what happened in Volume 2, where we leave off with Eminon, and now she's with somebody else. And yeah, it's about her going through her story as usual. It's thought-provoking, it's interesting, it's quiet and serene at points, but also very intense in other points, and intense in a weird way. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like a mental intensity, I think is the best way to put it, because it's more of like these dream sequences where stuff is just going on, and she's trying to process what's going on, and it's just so much information, and it's so interesting. I don't know, I love this series so much. This series is absolutely amazing. It's got a lot of really great color pages. I don't want to flip through it too much because there is a lot of nudity in this, so just keep that in mind. If you're like, I don't know how to explain it, like triggered by any of that kind of stuff, but yeah, she is nude often, but it's not done in like a sexual way. It's done more of like a tasteful, just kind of like this person is almost ethereal in a way, so like clothing means nothing to her in this sense. It makes more sense within the context of the story. I don't know, you should just go check it out. This series is awesome and I love it so much. Alright, up next, Rainbow Days Volume 1 by Minami Mizuno, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not care for this first volume. It's just like a lot of the characters are like frustratingly terrible. And, like, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose for comedy or if, like, that's just, like, what people thought was funny. I just didn't find the series very funny. Like, I just think that the tropes they chose for the high school boys are weird, I guess. Or, like, I don't know. Like, I guess it's because I'm getting older now, so, like, it's weirder for me to see high schoolers, like, being like, oh, yeah, let's take advantage of women. And it's like, I just don't find that very funny. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, it's just not very funny, to me at least. But, you know, if you do enjoy this, that's you know, that's you. Just for me, it's just not my cup of tea. But the art is fine. It's nice, and it's interesting to see that Shoujo Beat is releasing anything in general. So, yeah, but didn't really care for this first volume. I don't know if I'm going to pick up the second volume. Alright, up next, first volume of Cheeky Angel by Hiroyuki Nishimori. And the best way to explain this series is that this feels like an absolute parallel to Pretty Face because it's like the same kind of idea, sorta. So basically, you come to meet this girl on the cover here, and she's like cute, but she has like an angry side to her where she's like violent in a way. And you come to find out that lo and behold, this girl is actually used to be a boy, and this boy was basically defending this girl that he likes, and ends up finding this like random lamp, and or like receiving this lamp slash thing from this dude, the shady guy. He rubs the lamp and says something along the lines of like, oh, like I want to be more manly, I think is what he said, but like the genie said, oh, he said more womanly, so turns him into a woman. And it's about this story about this guy who turned girl, living a high school life, being chased by all these crazy people. So it's weird, it's goofy, it's your typical 90s slash 2000s like comedy, boys comedy series. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you like pretty face, it's like right up the same alleyway in a way. I find it to be very enjoyable, but I could definitely see why people would not like it. It is raunchy. It is your typical like, oh, look at boys like girl, ha ha ha. Let's go flip her skirt, hee hee hee. Let's protect her with all our lives, ha ha ha. So I don't know. If you don't like that kind of stuff, I totally get it. But I did very much enjoy this first volume. All right, up next. Mission Yozakura Family by Hitsuji Gondaira. This is volume 2, and this is the last volume that I read in 2022. So yeah, this was really fun, a good continuation of the story. We get to get more context with some of the family members, because the first volume we got introduced to all of them, but we really only got like context and like information about a couple of them. So it's good to see that we're getting more info, and we get to see more missions with some of the other characters, because the other characters are actually really cool. They were actually pretty funny. I do enjoy the tropes that they use for some of the characters, but yeah, overall this was a fun one, and made me excited for the next volume, honestly. So happy it was as good as it was. And that's gonna be it for the 2022 reading log. This was December. This was the last one. Everything into the future is going to be 2023 only. La ha ha, ta cha cha. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this reading log. Did you read any of the volumes that I read in December 2022? And if you did, let me know what you think in the comments below. And also let me know what you read in 2022, in December 2022 specifically. But if you want to tell me what you read in 2022, you can also do that as well. So, you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, and you can subscribe. And if you do all those things, you're awesome, you're amazing. I'm getting close to 700 subscribers, and that's mind-blowing to me. So thank you guys so much for the support. Really appreciate it. And if you didn't do any of those things, that means you just watched 40 minutes of me talking about manga. So appreciate it. Thank you very much. So that's going to be it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.